Another breakdown. This is the rematch between Patrick and Gordon. I did a breakdown of their original match. I believe it was from 2018. So this one is very different. I have actually watched it, and I thought that it would be uh, good to go over. So very different. So that being said, we'll start. If you haven't yet, click on the link in the description where you can join the Sweet Science of Fighting Underground and get access to all the strength and conditioning programs. And you can also submit your own footage to be broken down on the channel. So right off the bat, I did watch this. So it says here Patrick is 6'2" and Gordon is 5'11". When I'm looking at them two wrestle, Gordon seems substantially taller. So I don't know if this is a mess up or what happened here. But you'll see the stats may be off here. I could be wrong, but I don't know much about. But I mean, I can't tell from the screen, but I can tell that Gordon is clearly taller. So for whatever that's worth. Well, they already started. A lot of this in the beginning is going to be just a bunch of collar ties. I think Gordon's somewhat strategy here is just to kind of hang on him and make him kind of tire him out. He did do another one of his calling the shot before the match to show how the match to write a note to show how the match would end. So that strategy typically, if you're playing that, if you're doing that, then you're going to get somebody pretty good, which obviously Patrick is good. You're gonna have to wear them down a little bit to kind of have your way with them. So that being said, we're going to see a lot of tie-ups here. And I mean, look at the. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but it appears like Gordon is substantially taller here. I mean, I know like he's kind of hunched over. Patrick's kind of hunched over a little bit, but and both these guys are just huge. I mean, Gordon is. I just want to say this real quick. Gordon is actually substantially bigger, in my opinion, from what I can tell from his match in 2018, and his game is much. I think it's gotten better too, if that's possible, because he was actually really good in 2018 as well. But I think he's just gotten bigger, which makes it even harder to deal with him. I will say that I think from watching Gordon go at this weight. A lot of these big guys, unfortunately, when you're a big guy, you typically can get away with a lot more, not because you're doing it on purpose, but I think, you may have a hard time finding bigger training partners. And so, I know guys that are just really big and wide, so they'll just like put themselves in a triangle and then try to pass that way or something. But if they found somebody equal to their size, they probably wouldn't do that. So there's some bad habits that can be, that you can get as well by being so big. But Gordon is interesting because he kind of has a little guy game, and this is because he's been training forever. He was training when he was a smaller guy, now he's a big guy. I'm sure a lot of these other guys have as well, but it really seems like from what I've seen of Gordon's matches, is his technique is just way better. So, and I think that has something to do with him developing this like little guy game, as we call it, So a lot of this is kind of basic stuff. Just tie up, hang on his neck, move him around, make him carry your weight. Gordon is not very explosive either. He doesn't, move a lot. Only when he has to, he'll use just kind of explosive movement. As soon as he sees position or an entry, he's going to go for it. And this is a little thing I've actually been doing as well, just because I've watched Gordon and other guys do this, is feeding the single leg. Sometimes when you feed the single leg, Gordon actually does this later. If you feed the single leg, they'll take the single leg. If you can stay heavy on that leg that they take, and you can actually produce arm drags, whizzers, and things like this, and you can actually start to produce some judo throws, some uchimatas and things like this. But you can also, it's a very good counterattacking position. It's also a leg entry position. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do with it by kind of quote unquote giving a single. And as I always say, there's a big difference between somebody taking a position, like for example, somebody just taking the single on their time and like where you're having to catch up, versus you giving them the single when you're actually prepared and ready for them to take it. So obviously a big difference. So again, there's no major threat here. yet. Gordon, he does have Gordon's leg, but Gordon has a good collar tie on him. So even if he was able to get Gordon down to the ground, Gordon could shoot up something here with his other leg if he actually were to pull guard or something. But I don't think he pulls guard here. So, and notice Gordon's left hand here. He's really controlling that wrist. So look, the right hand now is going over into a wizard position. He's getting his head close to his head. He's getting connection. This makes it very difficult because look, now you see his Patrick's posture was just broken down there. Patrick's either going to have to really be aggressive here and go forward and attack, either to the body lock or to a double. The mistake here, I think, was just Patrick kind of staying kind of stationary here, just not really moving. I always tell guys when you get a single, you need at least start to walk or start. You need a guy to be bouncing on this leg over here. You need him reacting. If you don't get that, then this kind of stuff happens where they get on top of the neck, and then you either got to let go of the single or you really got to blast and go for it. So he just kind of swat him in the face, trying to get, maybe a takedown to get him turned to the left. So notice Gordon's stance here. It's really interesting. He has a side stance. This is all kind of judo stuff. If, again, in my opinion, in my stand up that I'll do is it'll if I'm looking to do some judo stuff, it'll be with my hip turned like this, kind of baiting them in to take my leg. If they take my leg, I can go into, again, Uchimata's hip tosses and things like this. Gordon has control of that outside arm, so he really can't, Gordon, with his left hand, he has control of the right hand of Patrick. He can't, Patrick can't lock his arms around Gordon here. So Patrick just keeps throwing him off. Again, collar tie. Again, I think Gordon's clearly taller here. I don't understand what the stats are. I think there's something wrong. See that sidestep in that'd be a good time to do some foot sweeps. From my understanding, Patrick's a pretty good wrestler here, so I don't know why he's kind of playing this game with Gordon. This kind of stand-up starting game. I will say, because of the rule set, there is something to be said for like a 30-minute match. You can't. It'd be very difficult to like have a wrestler stance for 30 minutes. That would be actually very difficult. So like the rule set can also dictate how these guys are actually going to approach the game, and this is obviously smart. The guys don't want to go all out for the first few minutes, and then plus they're heavyweights, so they'd be burnt out in a few minutes. So they're both kind of taking their time here. So this could be why we see this kind of like very slow, methodical, just kind of plain hand fighting. Again, just to kind of toss him off. Get him in the eye there a little bit. That's all right. A little fake there. Again, the side stance. See the side stance? And Gordon kind of gives him the leg here. Takes it back. They reset here. All right, here we go. So, again, collar ties. Just a bunch of hand fighting. I mean, right now, just looking for position. They're looking for a good position, somebody to make a slight, timing error, and this could make the difference of taking, going for an entry. So hanging on the head here. Gordon's hanging on Patrick's head. Patrick keeps looking at the floor. This is making him carry more weight, with Gordon. And again, I think this is Gordon being taller, even though the stat said he's not taller. The taller guy will always typically be able to hang on the head, especially if the shorter guy is not actually going for shots. When he finally took a shot, it was kind of a slow, lazy shot, but he kind of just went in, and he's going to grab the single again. Notice Gordon's hand right here. So his right hand is into an arm dragging position. This is an excellent thing to do if somebody goes into a single like this. If you can get this inside position on this arm right here to an arm drag position, you can potentially start to get around to the back. And you can see it right there. So Patrick loses the single because of the arm drag. Now Gordon's swinging around to get the hold of the hip, which he does get a hold of the hip. And now he's going around the side. He has an angle now. And now we're going to see Patrick swings back around and he throws his right hand to the inside to regain inside position to kind of get a crossface to bring Gordon back up off of his hips. But by the time he gets his arm back inside, Gordon has the single. And now Gordon switches to his right hand to the top of the neck, and he's going to steer him in the left and to the left. He's going to steer him, kind of swat him down here. So here we go. So this is pretty. I wouldn't say it's a basic takedown. I mean, it was a complex series, but that's a pretty. The takedown's pretty straightforward. It's not the super like crazy complex takedown. The takedown itself was very straightforward. The setup was very good. So now Gordon's on top. He immediately puts his hips in and starts to put pressure in. His right hand's around the back. He's trying to get top connection. Patrick's doing a good job. He has left arm. He has a frame up. He's controlling the right hand here. Gordon is using his left hand now to pin Patrick's right leg down. So he has a kind of a straight arm here. It puts a lot of pressure so that he doesn't want Patrick's knee coming up, right? You don't want the knees to chest. If you can get around the knees and get to a body lock, this is great. And if you can get to a solid half guard, this will be good for Gordon as well. So you see all this weight is just, Gordon just has this weight down this bottom leg here. Patrick has to control the wrist and keep this frame here to avoid chest-to-chest connection and, to avoid cross faces and things like that. So the problem is that he's going to be carrying a lot of weight here. So, all good. I always say in every video, because, guys that play guard, it's the general rule is that the top leg, Patrick's left leg right here, the top leg is going to be the main weapon for retention and for resetting the position, and to, keep an active guard. Gordon, get around that top knee and the top arm. Top arm and the top knee are always going to be best things that a guard player has to gauge distance and to open up the position. Again, Gordon just playing this top heavy game. It's this kind of wet blanket game it's just kind of like constant pressure coming in, doesn't go off. So now we have the hips in the face. We'll see what Patrick can do with this. If he can go to like a deep half position, so now we're back to a deep half position. But Gordon's hips are just they're too stable. I mean, you can see that Patrick tried to do some pendulum movement there. He's going to try to get to his knees here to build up. Gordon's he's just too big. He's got too good a balance here. And you can see Patrick is kind of panicking here. He's pushing him this way, pendulum. He couldn't get up, so now he's going this way to try to get to Gordon's hip because Gordon is now threatened to a mount position. So he pushes Gordon off. Now all this that Patrick is doing on the bottom is taking a lot of energy. And I suspect that after watching this match, that this was part of Gordon's strategy. If you can wear Patrick down, then you can have your way with him. This is a very old school mentality. Back when I started in the early 2000s, 2005, this was in the gi. This was kind of the strategy. You just wear your opponent down, and then you can do whatever you want with them. So this was a strategy. This is still a strategy, obviously. But nowadays, guys just don't get tired. But certainly in this division, they do. So much muscle to move around. Notice what if you just saw that what Gordon did right there with his left hand, he's pulling up on the bottom on the tricep. Patrick here, he's pulling that arm up. What this is doing is preventing Patrick from getting up on his shoulder and possibly doing. I don't know if he does it inverted. It doesn't seem like he would do inversions, but if he did, he'd get up on that shoulder, start to go to turtle, start to invert. He could start to wrestle up. He could do all kinds of things if he can get that shoulder to the underneath him. The issue is that Gordon prevented this by pulling the tricep up, and this keeps him threatened to kind of keeps him in a flattened position on his back. He can't get that turn. So now Gordon has the crossface here. He's beaten the top leg, so this is no good for Patrick. So now Patrick's going to have to use a lot of energy to get out of this. Gordon's going to hang out here. Patrick still has a underhook here, but this isn't going to do him any good. He's going to have to, get rid of this crossface. Now Gordon has his hand locked. And Gordon's okay. He's not spending any energy here. He's just kind of keeping sound position, keeping the weight in. Okay, so now Patrick got his arm back to the inside. His left hand's trying to create a frame. And Gordon kind of let go of that crossface, but Patrick recognized that and got his hands back to the inside position. Again, you see this tripod position here, right? With Gordon, the way Gordon's actually trying to pass his guard, so he's very top heavy. So this is like all the weight is in this area right here, right? His legs are far enough back. Patrick can't get to his legs and start doing leg locks and things like this. He's just too far back. He has his left hand constantly putting pressure on Patrick's bottom knee, which is pushing that leg down. So Patrick really has to bear all this weight, like constant. It's a constant weight that has to be managed. And any slip up, and Gordon can switch his hips and start to go, to mount and knee cut and all this other stuff. So you just saw Gordon do it. Had to switch his hips there for a second. He keeps switching his hips. Patrick did a good job of keeping that leg centered between Gordon's legs here. Gordon, that was really, really good. Gordon took his right hand and pulled the leg to the outside, the foot to the outside, so it's no longer between his legs. Much better position now. Now that he doesn't have a hook between his legs. If he has a hook between his legs, this can be a little more difficult, especially if Patrick is really good at his kind of half butterfly game. But now that it's just simply a knee shield, this is a much easier position to pass. And Patrick has to actually carry a lot more, has to carry all of Gordon's weight here. And look at the head position. Gordon just has some sort of connection with the upper body here. A lot of times you'll see guys trying to, body lock, and their hips are way back here and their legs are back here, and they're just like trying to body lock here, and the guy's upper body's free to move around. This strategy here, which is this tripod passing strategy, it really puts all the weight up top. The reason why I would suspect that you don't see this at other levels, you see it at high levels, but you don't see it all over the place yet, is because people, and this is this isn't really anything new, I would say, but this is definitely a very nuanced game. Like, you have to have a very good understanding of, because it's an open position, whereas a body lock is like very closed off, everything, there's no space. I would say that there is a lot more space here, so we can see all this space between the legs and between the hips and all this, right? But Gordon is blocking off the upper body, and any movement that Patrick makes here to make an adjustment, Gordon can capitalize on by switching his hips, dropping hips left, dropping hips right, windshield wipering his legs, cutting through, going to threaten mount the whole time. This left arm can be pushing down on the knee here. It can be holding the hand as it's doing here. It can be pulling up on the tricep to prevent him from going down to turtle. And his head position is just kind of constantly keeping his weight all centered right here. And the whole time he has his right hand here threatening that body lock or that inside position. This is a lot to deal with and manage. So now Gordon, just basically just drops his hip to the left. He's going into like more of a cradle position now, to where his left hand is over top of the head. And Patrick immediately, he's trying to block the hip here from Gordon's hip dropping to the left. If Gordon's hip would just drop to the left, he could easily pass here. But he's trying to block the hip. Again, he's going to be spending a lot of energy doing this. Gordon's going to bring his right hand to block the hip on this side. He brought it back to the other side, and now he opted to go back to a crossface to flatten Patrick back out. So Patrick is just basically stuck flat here. He's keeping his arm here, underneath the leg to see if he can get underneath it, but his head is so far away from Gordon's legs here. There's no way he's going to pull Gordon's leg up to his chest here. There's just no way. And if Gordon was 50 pounds lighter maybe, but not like this. And if he wasn't Gordon, you may be able to do that, but probably not. But not in this particular angle, in this particular position. It's not going to happen. The crossface is going to prevent any kind of movement down to his legs. I do like that Patrick he's going for an underhook here. He has an underhook. So you could use this to kind of bridge up on that shoulder to get to more of a turtle or wrestling position. This would be what I would probably advise him to do here at this point, is really fight for this underhook here. This left hand, reach over to really bridge off of both his feet here and reach for that left Gordon's left shoulder. At least this would give him some movement instead of just being flat here. This could potentially get him to turtle or get to a wrestling position. Gordon is doing a really good job. He's not overcommitted here. He needs to be careful. He's being very careful not to be overcommitted, but he's kind of just staying right center, right? He's not getting too overcommitted. He's not too far back. He's right. If you notice, he's right in the center here. So it's making it very difficult for Patrick to move. And again, size has a lot to do with this. I don't care what anybody says, okay? There's weight classes for a reason. Big guys can do things that little guys can't. Little guys can do stuff that big guys can't. This is just the way it is. If I was, Gordon would just beat me up all over the place, right? I wouldn't be able to move. I mean, it's just, one, because he's highly skilled, and two, because he's substantially bigger than me. This is just a fact. Now, of course, if somebody if you have a guy that's a blue belt and he's very big against a very skilled, smaller black belt, 150 pounder versus a 200 pounder, but the 150 pounds of black belt, obviously this can kind of change things, obviously. So, but I will say that, at the same skill level, the weight does make a big difference. Okay. And so even though these guys are somewhat equally skilled in weight, I would say that, still we're looking at the fact that, big guys typically, and then I as I can see here, I always advise big guys to work on their guard because most big guys in the gym can usually kind of wrestle up and get to top position. They can even start in top position if they wanted to. But to develop a good guard, they have to make that choice to do that. And if you have a big guy that's just a good guard, I mean, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about it. This is the one thing that Gordon does very, very well that a lot of other big guys don't do. Is that he's extremely good at leg locks. He's very good at guard. He's very good at wrestling. He's very good at top game control. He's good all the way around. So. And that was intentional to intentionally train that way, right? To really develop a high level guard. Anyways, this is kind of what we're seeing here, because you can see that there's not much guard playing by Patrick here. He's just kind of holding on to this half guard. And this is not going to last forever. This is a 30-minute match. They're only 4.5 minutes in. I mean, he's going to get worn down here. Because he's not going to get Gordon off of him just holding this half guard like this and trying to bridge and go for his leg. He has to produce something different. Again, he has the underhooks, but he really needs to this right here is going to prevent him from doing anything. He can't just post off this one leg. He could explode and go, like right here, he could explode and go to the left. Gordon's obviously going to switch his hips. He's obviously going to possibly pass, but at least he can get to turtle. I always say that getting to turtle is typically better than being flat on your back. And Gordon switches his weight so well with his chest. You can see like Patrick's hand's caught right here. Gordon is really as Patrick's moving, he's dropping his weight in different directions to block positions off, to isolate things, to smash, to prevent, the underhooks, to make things a lot more difficult to do. It's not that Patrick can't do it. It just makes it much more difficult to do, and he has to spend a lot more energy doing it. And you can see now Gordon's left leg right here, his left foot. He's starting to windshield wiper to the inside position to peel this leg away. This is a good strategy. He could start to tripod here and start to free his leg. Okay, so now we have a butterfly grip with a cross face with an underhook. Patrick's trying to get that underhook back, but now this chest-to-chest connection. Patrick is flat. He's got the right hand on the hip. This is going to be difficult to get out of. Gordon lets it go. Looks like he might try to pull up on that tricep. And Patrick did really good right there. That's what I was waiting to see. He exploded up to the right, but I would like to see this left hand to be an underhook. And as you can see, Gordon just tripods at that point, and now his knee's free. This was what I was talking about earlier. Once he gets that chest-to-chest connection, you can start to tripod. Gordon's head, look at Gordon's, his head's on the the right side of Patrick's body instead of his head being on this side. This basically closes everything off. Patrick cannot turn to his right anymore, and now Gordon can freely tripod and drop this knee and go to mount if he wanted to. So now he's going into this mount position. He has an underhook on this side, so this is no good. I mean, Patrick he can't move. He just has a difficult time even moving. Okay. So they're stuck here, just 2 underhooks. You see Patrick trying to swim that top arm through. Might be trying to get to like a turtle position, but he's not going anywhere because of this crossface. He is trapping the leg, trying to get it back to half guard. He could be using this right hand to help push the leg between to half guard. I mean, we have full back exposure here. Gordon could simply take his back right here, slide this leg through. He's already slid this leg up by the head, and he could simply take the back here. But because he has a specific move he wants to do, I would say he's probably holding off on that. Patrick did a good. He exploded really fast there, trying to get some movement to turn back to the half. Gordon does a back step right here, back to honey hole position. Again, Gordon didn't want to go for a leg lock. If he wanted to go for a leg lock, he could easily take this leg lock right here. And Patrick's kind of looking to see if he's going to take it. Patrick obviously doesn't want to turn back to his left. He's, if Gordon were to fall back and try to go for this heel or fall down in this direction, Patrick would be in a decent position to start to defend his foot because he could hide his heel. His heel is already in a position to hide. But Gordon doesn't go to the honey hole. He actually just uses it to step back around. And now he's technically passed. You notice Gordon's left hand was lifting up on that knee right there. This lifts the knee up off the ground and makes it much easier for him to pass this outside leg over. See that? So he passes the leg over, but now, Patrick catches the leg. So now we're in a deep half position. Let's see if he can produce something from it. Okay, good. So finally we see something. So Patrick had a deep half. He tries to invert to attack the leg. The problem is that Gordon has inside position here. Look at it. His foot is back into the inside position. And this could start to produce a back take if Gordon would want to go to the back, or he could start to pass to the side. If Gordon can turn that corner, he could potentially turn this into a leg drag position. So Patrick did a good job there trying to free his leg here to start to go into a leg entanglement. And he has the legs on the outs here. The problem is Gordon has the leg posted out. So there's a common thing that when people are attacking the legs, there's very simple defenses to attacking legs. You hide your heel, you free your knee, or you open the legs, keep the legs open. We also have heavy leg counterattacks, all these things. But your basic idea of leg defense, one of the basic ideas of leg defense, one of them is keeping the legs, your opponent's legs separated, keeping them open. And Gordon knows this, and he keeps his hand on this leg to keep the legs open. So now we can see that this is just going to simply turn into a possible pass here. And Patrick does a good job about scrambling back to face Gordon here, to get his knees back in front. And remember, this is very tiring for the person on bottom, right? He's carrying, again, we're 6.5 minutes in. 6.5 minutes in, about. This is going to be exhausting for him on bottom. Again, Gordon goes into this tripod position, get his head posted on his head. He's pulling that knee up off the ground so he can cut through. He's pinching his knees here around Patrick's leg, the main leg that he wants to use, for reverse alhivas or entering into X guards if you want to go something like that, deep half and all this stuff. Gordon searches for the inside position, got the inside position pretty easily there. He's placed his hand on the ground under the armpit. And now that he has the inside position, he posts his head on this side. Now this whole side is cut off. That keeps Patrick flat. His knee is going to be into an easy cut riding position here. Instead of knee cutting to Patrick's right, he's just going to drop the knee to Patrick's left here. And this is going to put him in this mounting position. Good underhook and his head position. Very good. This makes it very difficult for Patrick to move. Patrick's now turning to this side. He may consider going into a deep half position because of the placement of his arm. So he is in a deep half position. He has an underhook on Gordon's leg here, on that one leg, and then has an overhook on the other side. So he's going into a deep half position. But Gordon, again, keeping him flat. I mean, just flattening him out here, chest to chest, flatten him out. There's nothing that can come of the deep half. Again, tripoding. There's that windshield wiper to peel the leg away. Now we're in a mounted position. Patrick tries to capture the foot, but look, he's flat the entire time. 2 underhooks. Looks like Gordon has an underhook on this side and on this side. He's not going anywhere, and now he's stuck on the bottom. So this is going to be a pretty tiring position. He's going to have to. Okay, now his elbows are really high here. He doesn't want his elbows that high. The guy was about to say he's going to have to explode out of this to try to get his elbows back down or to get to his side to start to trap a leg. There's a lot of back exposure here, but sometimes, exposing your back this far can actually get you the leg trap. He can actually trap Gordon's leg. But again, you're going to have back exposure. His left arm is not framed on Gordon's hips. I would like to see, his left hand right here should be, going across, framing on the hips to kind of prevent Gordon from coming forward and dragging his elbows back up towards his head. But he seems safe here. He's got his elbows he got his elbows tucked in right here, and he's trying to get to his elbow to the inside between himself and Gordon's knee there. He's back to flat position. Gordon's going to go into controlling wrist. This can produce all kinds of things: triangles, half Nelsons, back attacks, arm triangles. So he's got that underhook. So I suspect he did that just to get that underhook back. Again, at any point he could just take the back here, but he's just draining Patrick here. This is good. Patrick still has tries to trap that leg going into this half. This is not paying off for him. Gordon's going to try to kick that leg off or just backstep it. I mean, Gordon is happy that's playing this game. This is just a wear you out game. I mean, there's no Patrick. I haven't seen a solution yet for this position. Gordon still has that underhook on the far side. Patrick cannot get up with that underhook there. And you see, the more he forces himself down, he's going to expose his back. Gordon now switches to the outside to get a seatbelt to get a wrist grip here around the forearm. And now this is very problematic. If this wrist could easily be pulled behind Patrick's back. Patrick could easily get flattened out here. This is a very bad position to have. So Patrick kind of has to pull that arm in. He's getting up on that shoulder, which is good. Gordon let it go, or he lost control of the wrist. Again, those floating hips, they just kind of float around. Patrick's knee is flat here. This is no good. Got a cross face, potential body lock. I mean, it's just constant pressure, top pressure to the chest-to-chest connection. So again, we have a cross face. Patrick is really trying to pull on this leg to try to, I'm not sure what his plan is here because he's completely lost leg position. Okay, there's some distance there. He's trying to kick him off. Gordon did a good job controlling the foot there, driving his knee back in, getting that chest high, making Patrick use that frame to keep him away. Again, Gordon has the underhook here, inside position. His left hand here is pushing down on that leg. Head-to-head connection. Got the crossface. Gordon snuck into half guard there. Strong cross face. So that shoulder is driving right down into the face there. It's getting him to look this direction. Keeps his arm there. Patrick just keeps keeping his arm there, waiting for opportunities to pull that leg up and go into like a deep half or maybe even a possible, reverse de la Riva positions and things like this. But, this half guard is just, it's not working. So Gordon really tripoding here. And the reason why this is so effective is because he's keeping him flat. He's not on his side. He can't really dig anything. He can't do anything. So he's flat. Gordon just keeps his weight down. His legs will come later. He's got control of the upper body. His legs will be free eventually, which they're free now. 2 underhooks again. Goes to the cross face. Good mount. Hips in, mount. Walking the hand up. Trying to get to his elbows high. So I suspect Patrick's doing this, like holding on to Gordon here to prevent Gordon from actually walking his hands high above his elbow. It's generally not a good idea to grab around your opponent's waist like this. You typically want your hands on the inside position onto the hips so that you can start to produce some sort of escape. But he's probably doing this wraparound because he can't get his hands to the inside position. He can't. And, the more he has his hands dangling out here, the easier it is for Gordon to threaten his arms to be placed above his head. So there, now he broke he let go, and now he's going back to this inside position. So see, now his hands are framed on the hips. Gordon brings his knees up high. Again, fighting for the underhooks. The underhooks and the cross facing, this is all countering all the movement. Tell Gordon's getting a little tired here. They're not tired; they're just a little winded. Definitely, Patrick's much more tired. I would suspect, being on bottom with all this. But I mean, they're almost 10 minutes in, so again, you see this knee shield here. It's not super effective. It does work, but if it doesn't last forever. I mean, look at this. He's just up on his toes here. Like his knees are not on the ground, right? I mean, all the weight is just completely on Patrick here. And this is just, and look, Patrick is using his strength with his left hand and his right hand to hold Gordon up. This won't last. He does have this knee to help as a frame, as a shield that is helping, but his arms are still having to keep Gordon's head away from his head. He's pushing away, getting back to a half, trying to grab the leg again. Gordon windshield wipers his back leg over, and now he's passed. You see how he scooped that leg? This is pretty classic. Once he windshield wipers the leg and he beats the bottom leg, the top leg, Gordon could just easily walk around. But we usually scoop the leg like this and pin the foot to the butt, and then we can easily just kind of walk around. And now we've passed. Gordon pops up, goes back into a knee right position, switches the foot back to this knee on belly type position, or shin on belly. This is interesting. Patrick does grab the foot and then try to sit up. This again, this is definitely something. I don't know. When you have somebody equal size on top of you, and you try to grab their foot, there's just too much weight on top. I don't see you getting up out of that position very often to try to wrestle up. So now we're into a Kimura position, Kimura trap. This is the first time we've seen the Kimura trap on the arm. Patrick's trying to keep that leg, from Gordon from passing that leg over. If he can kind of keep that half, he can kind of counter a little bit of the movement here. Not really. You can still Kimura people with him, and with them still having a half guard on you. But Gordon would rather have that leg free, which is good because now we can start to go into arm bars and have a lot more options. Feeds the leg back into between his legs. So Gordon is just he's giving up. I mean, he's taking his positions, giving him back, taking the positions, giving him back. I mean, this is just a big difference from their last match in 2018. I mean, there's so many times this match probably could have been ended, in many different ways. Leg lock, back attack, Kimura. But I think because he wants some specific setup, specific position, he's just kind of giving positions. Back to that crossface again. If I was Patrick here, probably what I would do, I'd be like, just give your back. Because if he's not going to submit you, if he has a specific, he obviously doesn't want to take your back. So just give him your back, force him to take your back, which is kind of a ridiculous thing to say. But if he wants a specific submission, clearly hasn't seen it yet. So don't waste your energy. Just expose your back. He's not going to submit you off your back. I mean, he can't switch to armbar there, but if he doesn't know what his plan is, clearly there's plenty of times where he could have taken his back and he didn't take his back. So at least this would change the position. He's not stuck in half guard the whole time. You see this right here. This grapevine right here. This is no good for Patrick. That wrist needs to be very careful that his hand doesn't go behind his back. And it is behind his back, but not really. He could be using it to block the hook, which he did. And now he's the turtle. This is good. So again, he exposed his back. This is fine. Gordon didn't really want his back. Goes back to his guard. I mean, if he was in that turtle position, he could have tried to, get up. Instead of going right back to the half. Crossface. And this is just a way of Gordon just grinding him out, draining him. This is, again, this is one of those classic. Now, knee on belly, this is really going to drain you. This really drains you, especially at that weight. Makes it hard to breathe. Back to half guard. Gordon just kind of steps out, does a high step out, goes to mount. Going back to this seatbelt position, grabbing the wrist. 2 underhooks. I mean, you do whatever he wants at this point. He's just choosing to drag this out. Good. He's passing whenever he wants now. It's a done deal. Patrick is getting just exhausted. You can tell it's wearing down. He's trying to get up. That was good. That was a good shot. Trying to get up right there. Gordon has his windshield wipers in. He's just windshield wiper stapling that leg to the ground. He doesn't care now if he feeds the leg or not. He's just going into the knee ride. To the knee on belly. This is going to drain him even more. The more he just stays in that knee on belly, it's just going to drain him. His hands fighting to the inside position. Gordon's hands go to the inside. Put that chest down. Got the knee on belly. And just grind him out. Try to keep his breath. Now he has his elbow above his head. This could... okay, now, so this is probably what Gordon's been looking for. Because it seems like he's taking this position now. So now that he has the elbows above the head, this is no good. Especially with Patrick at this stage, at 13 minutes in, 20 seconds. This is going to be, difficult for Patrick to get out of. Just doesn't have the explosiveness that he needs. Again, the elbows above the head. 2 underhooks. Gordon has 2 underhooks here. Knees climbing higher. Get into an arm triangle type position now. Seat belt. Good. Assist to the back. Okay. So now he does have back. So he wanted back apparently. Switching to Kimura grip. He was threatening a triangle, so he's trying to get that arm out of the way. Now we're in a Kimura position. This right leg can easily throw over to an armbar if this is what he wants, which he does. So now we're going into an armbar position. And Gordon X's his legs over the grips where Patrick is actually holding his grips. Puts a lot of pressure. See the grip right there? We go. So as soon as the triangle happens over here, this puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the arm being attacked. Right? This grip is not going to hold. Boom. The arm's free. And now you can see, because of the triangle, the Gordon's left leg is thread under the neck here, and his right leg is triangled here. So this is one of the most optimal ways to start to put on an armbar because this prevents running escapes. Many escapes are any kind of running escape is going to be you can't do, and with the leg thread this way. So I've seen this over the years. You've seen this become more and more popular as the armbar finish. I mean, all the other bar finishes work as well. It just as this one somewhat limits the more common escapes. That's it. Okay, so you can see. So, I mean, man, I good job on Patrick. He tried. He held in there for a very long time, just in the same position. Wasn't much movement. But I mean, it's a testament to Gordon's top game and his passing. Very methodical, technique. It won the day. It wasn't like the one thing I will say, especially these heavyweights, you don't see them flying all over the place. Like using speed and using these other attributes and things that they have. I mean, they use strength obviously, but you start to see you don't see especially with Gordon, you'll see explosive movements, but only when it's technically the right time, and he has the best shot at doing something. But you don't see a lot of energy being spent for no reason. So very good technique. Learned a lot from this video, just from this particular passing style. But good job on both these guys. But it's clearly Gordon just dominated that, and he had a particular plan in mind. He could have ended this match 5 minutes in, 6 minutes in, maybe even before earlier. But he decided just to bring it out until he can get exactly the position that he wants and exactly the submission that he wants. So, good job. So I wanted to do the breakdown on that one because in 2018 they had another match, which is a little bit more, I would say, competitive at the time. And this just wasn't even competitive, to be honest. So not that, Patrick's not good. He's obviously very, very, very skilled and a very good grappler. But for this particular night, it didn't seem very competitive. So, but that being said, that'll be it. And I'll be doing another breakdown pretty soon. I think I might be doing another one that was a request. So, all right. Thank you.